all stakeholders, will I say in a very brief, in side of production, it has been a challenge to us, because production of coffee needs a lot of money, and on this side, we can request for the government intervention. Because producing a kilo of coffee, 1 kg of coffee, needs a lot of money. Inputs are very expensive. To produce a kg of coffee, cherry of coffee, you need to have a lot of money. And one challenge we have in coffee farming, we have a lot of aged population. You cannot engage a source to get a lot of money to buy fertilizers and chemicals. Whereas coffee is not, as we have been doing, it has not been doing very well. So our grandfathers, they don't have money. So if the government can intervene and you have a credit facility, I see yes, it's pointing on this side, so that we can have an access of fertilizers and inputs.
The KPCU, which was also recommended for improvement by the task force, the project is actually refurbishing the new KPCU warehouses in Dandora, in the headquarters Nairobi, Sagana, Meru. I think that's where they are. And the tender, and you can say that the tender for this is actually being processed, so that now the contractor can come in and refurbish those warehouses. And the training system and platform also at the new KPCU is going to be upgraded through this program. Now, I'll talk of specific achievements that we have been able to get as a project since the initiation in September. In matters of extension, we would want to get a service provider to be able to reach out to farmers so that he can employ the youth, those who have studied agriculture in the county, so that they can actually be able to disseminate the technologies required for coffee. And that is also ongoing. Actually, the recruitment of the service provider is ongoing. And what we need to do now is get the service provider, help him actually recruit the youth who will actually be doing the extension, and train them so that they can actually start disseminating this information to the farmers as soon as possible.
The uptake and the sensitization is quite encouraging currently. We are receiving quite a number of forms, and which I'm happy to report that we are processing them in record time. And we are seeing if the trend continues and if the reward continues in terms of good pricing at the auction or direct market, then we are going to have as many farmers access to this. Farmers are also ready to increase their produce, and part of this money, I'm sure it will go a long way in helping in terms of the improvement of their farms, in terms of access of inputs, and etc.
All the stakeholders of coffee. I'm Sami Marindany, Chairman, Kipsinende Cooperative Society from Kericho County, Kipkelion Sub-County. I'm going to give you a brief. I'm going to be brief because I'm seeing that the time has just moved and we want to hear from our CS. This society is in Kericho County, Kipkelion West Sub-County, with 120 hectares of land with 96,000 coffee bushes. It has coffee nursery for expansion, because there, as we have heard, that we need this, the place is a new coffee growing area, and so we have established a coffee nursery in order for us to enable the farmers to increase the the plantation of coffee. So the nursery is able to, with a capacity of 50,000 seedlings each year. Registered members of the society, our society is still young, with 450 members, of which 305 are active members. And in here, we encourage also women so much in coffee farming. So we have 2 or 3 male members, and female members are 102. So the achievement of 2020 and 2021, these are the factors which led us to get the payment rate of Kenya shillings 91, which of course we have not had before. This was a record payment. We have just been hearing only in Central Province, we have just been hearing them paying over 100, but us, we have been paying, let's say, 60, 50, and 40. But last year was too encouraging, and this one was made possible because we were having constant training of farmers on good agricultural practices. This includes pruning, because pruning is very important, fertilizer application, weed control, sorting, and processing. So we also trained our staff, those who are working in the factory, in order for us to get the good prices, good working environment. We make sure our areas around the factory is good, with good environment for the staff. Motivation of staff also, we usually pay them, for them to be motivated, we usually pay them overtime. We introduced the payment of overtime, and we found that the workers worked very hard. And also here, what made us also to achieve this, we had our partners. And the partner, we had a Kericho County government, which helped us and assisted us in construction of a store, a modern store, that make us to store coffee. Also, we have the Kikelian Coffee Mill, which also constantly train our farmers and also mill our coffee in the right way. We have also our partner, the very important partner, which makes us to access the farm input, that is Commodities Fund. It has been a great help to us in our society, in finance, and also in order for us to be able to get farm inputs. Also, we have our marketer, which has helped us so much. That is SMS, that's Sustainable Management Services. We have also CRI at Koru, which has also been helping us, and also Solidaridad, a non-governmental organization, which has been training. They have been training our farmers. And here, the challenges which I'm going to mention have been mentioned. I've found that it is all common. It's common everywhere. We have heard of lack of funds for farm inputs, and we can see the solution. We have seen the solution here, so we have to come, although we have also Commodities Fund, which of course have not had anybody saying it. So climate change is also the major challenge, because sometimes it rains too much, sometimes there is no rain, and so that one affects our farmers so much. Also, for the last some years, we have been lacking certified hybrid seeds. And this was because I think the CRI and whatever, I don't know what happened, but we have found that the solution, if the government or the Ministry of Agriculture can help, we are urging the government to provide funds to CRI, because before, when the CRI were provided with a 2% levy, they were able to provide us with good seeds and certified seeds. So we are urging the government to provide funds to CRI to continue to research and produce coffee seeds. HAFA also to be funded, because HAFA has also been of great help to us. They are always with us and also encouraging us so much. So thank you. The achievement of 2020 and 2021, these are the factors which led us to get the payment rate of Kenya shillings 91, which of course we have not had before. This was a record payment. We have just been hearing only in Central Province, we have just been hearing them paying over 100, but us, we have been paying, let's say, 60, 50, and 40. But last year was too encouraging, and this one was made possible because we were having constant training of farmers on good agricultural practices. This includes pruning, because pruning is very important, fertilizer application, weed control, sorting, and processing. So we also trained our staff, those who are working in the factory, in order for us to get the good prices, good working environment. We make sure our areas around the factory is good, with good environment for the staff. Motivation of staff also. We usually pay them, for them to be motivated, we usually pay them overtime. We introduced the payment of overtime, and we found that the workers.
Nitasema machache tu kwa Kiswahili kwa sababu naona tuko na wazee marafiki zetu wakulima hapa. Ni wajulisha ya kwamba bunge letu pamoja na serikali ya Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta kuna mambo kadhaa ambayo tunataka kuiweka laini before tuende uchaguzi wa mwaka 22. Kuna watu wanasumbuka sana na uchaguzi, wanasahau uchaguzi ni ya siku moja. Baada ya hiyo taabu yako ya ukulima bado itaendelea. And therefore we have said we must work on our institutions and make sure sheria ambazo tuko nazo kwa bunge ambazo zinafanya stockholders wengine wapate nguvu ya kuenda kotini kuchukua madeni bila idhini ya wakulima, tuweze kuangalia zikomeshwe kabisa, so that as we talk about the new dispensation, we'll be talking of a new dispensation kama tumefanya coffee reforms ambazo zinafaa. Nataka kuambia nyinyi hii safari si rahisi. Tulitembea mashinani, wengine tukafukuzwa, wengine tukapigiwa ndulu na kelele. But we want to invite you, all the stakeholders, to just know and know dearly. The world is bigger than Kenya. The world is bigger than your constituency and your county. Ethiopia and other countries that are selling and trading coffee across the world, they are competing with Kenya as an entity, or Kenya as a single country. So we must take the conversation ya kahawa beyond our local politics, the village politics, the factory politics, and the brokers politics. We must, number one, own it up, agree that there is nobody who will ever come out to come and bring solutions for the coffee industry if we ourselves will not accept to do it. Waziri Munya, let me remind you, kuna siku itafika wenzako watakuwa na kazi ngumu sana. Kule mlimani, hasa ukiangalia wakulima na sehemu zote za Kenya, wanashangaa because the president ako na jeshi inaitwa cabinet secretaries. Nitakwambia cabinet secretary wa agriculture anaitwa Peter Munya. Reforms za agriculture tutarudi kwa hao wananchi tuwaambie ni nini tumefanya. Umetengeneza maneno ya maziwa KCC, na bei ya maziwa ilitoka ile ilikuwa inanunuliwa 18 shillings mpaka sasa hii tuko around 32 shillings. Tumefanya reforms ya majani chai, tumetoa majani chai kwa mikono ya watu ambao walikuwa wanafikiria mambo zao. Today we have a new bill, a new regulation ambayo president aliasent ya biashara ya majani, na saa hii baada ya majuma 4 kama umepeleka majani chai yako unafaa mkulima kukua pesa yake iko kwa mfuko. Tumefanya reforms za biashara za sukari. Kwa sasa mkulima wa sukari atakuwa anauza miwa yake under contract farming with engagement. Once you plant your sugarcane, unajua sugarcane yako nani atakununulia, na anafaa mufanye maktaba, mushirikiane, muagree, and then if you need inputs or you need loans, you should be in a position, your sponsor should be in a position to help you, ndio usiende kwa mikora ya watu kwenda kwa shai.
Thank you very much, stakeholders. The Honorable CS, the Honorable Vice Chair of the Agriculture Committee, and the other honorable members, and all the stakeholders. Basically, since morning, we've been discussing and drinking coffee, I hope, and we have looked at the issues, both from the perspectives of the farmers, the perspective of the regulator, which is the Coffee Directorate under AFA, and also the perspectives of the legislators. And basically, today was like an opportunity to share what has gone on and what is going on and what is planned ahead. And this is an opportunity, of course, for the CS to present his views and his report and the position of the ministry as far as the coffee reforms is concerned. And the CS has worked very hard on this topic and other topics with a view of reforming the sector and helping the various value chain actors to do their part so that the sector can be profitable for the players as well as for the country. In the State Department of Crops, we are running the program of coffee revitalization supported by World Bank, and it has all these components that we are dealing with, as was presented by Njogu, and we'll work with all stakeholders to make sure that we stay on course. As you remember, this was the agenda of His Excellency the President. He appointed the Coffee Task Force, which presented recommendations, and those recommendations are what we are working with to make sure that all components of those recommendations are done. So I hope the information that was shared is useful to all of us as stakeholders.
Crops Department, or other distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, first let me take this opportunity to thank you all for turning up for this forum that is focusing on the journey we have taken this far in relation to coffee reforms. Let me especially thank the members of Parliament for finding time on a Monday from their very busy schedule in the constituencies to come and be with us this morning. May I also thank them for the support they have given us in this reform journey in the agricultural sector. We have been meeting with them, with the farmers there in the constituencies, and they have really given a lot of support. And we cannot forget to thank you for that. And we want to also thank you for fast-tracking the enactment of the sugar bill. Those the stakeholders in Western Kenya and in the coast that depend on sugar have really been waiting and wondering what happened to the bill. We are happy to learn now it is at an advanced stage, and soon we'll have a regulatory framework that is farmer-centric in the sugar sector that will help us spur the revival of that sector. There has been a lot of misinformation about sugar, people saying it is not viable. But our interaction with farmers and looking at the way it has been performing with the few reforms we have done, the sugar sector still remains very viable. Actually, if you look at the statistics for last year, tea and sugar were recorded the biggest growth. I'm talking about local production of sugar and tea. So it is not true. It is usually, again, a misinformation. You say it is because the farms are small. The challenges are there can be addressed, and I think it can be a rewarding farming enterprise once more. if those proposed reforms are passed as they are set to be passed. Let me also thank you for the coffee initiative and the bill which you are now addressing. We are in a unique situation. We have the bill which is in the National Assembly and another bill in the Senate, sponsored by the Senator of Embu, Jerry Green. It is a curious situation because this other bill we worked with him. We went even to forums with Senator Dwega, with the farmers, and it was in agreement that this bill was good because we participated with him. So introducing another bill is quite strange because this bill was farmer-driven. We went through the farmers, reviewed the draft, incorporated the proposals that were being pushed by farmers, and produced this bill. It is one of the bills that has really gone through a lot of public participation, forums across the country, looking at the issues that affect the farmer and incorporating them there. Nevertheless, it is the right of Parliament and the right of the Senate and the National Assembly to legislate. Our work is to make proposals, and then they are able to legislate, and I believe at some point there will be negotiation to make sure that we have one bill. I have looked at both bills. The Senate bill is just a framework. It is not proposing any serious policy change. It is just a framework creating the institutions, reenacting the institutions that used to exist. The Coffee Board, the Coffee Research Foundation. It's just a framework. It doesn't have any major policy reforms that it is proposing. The bill that we sponsored as government, which is with Parliament, has that framework, but it also goes beyond the framework and proposes policy reforms that will sort out farmers. So I really don't see any major issue between, because Dwega's bill is actually already contained in the bill in Parliament, because the bill in Parliament has an identical framework that is proposed by Dwega's bill. But it goes further than that. So it is an easy thing to merge them or take the position, but it will be a pity if we lose the reforms we require because of the two processes. But looking at parliamentary practice over the years, usually government bills are given priority. That has been the practice over the years. But again, as I've said, it is for us to leave it to Parliament to look into it. We hope it won't delay the process the farmers have been yearning for. The bill that we have proposed, I don't want to go into the bill itself in any big way, but as I said, it proposes certain key reforms that are farmer-centric, that are supposed to support farmers to earn a living from their coffee, from their sweat. Because the primary stakeholder in agriculture is the farmer. Mkulima ndio number one. Sababu kama hakuna kilimo, hiyo mazao utaenda kutumia. Even if you are setting a processing factory, you have to get the raw materials. The producer of the raw material is the farmer. So farmers have to be taken care of. Any reform we do must take care of the farmer so that the farmer can continue investing in farming. And that is what this bill has said, has done, to bring back the coffee farmer at the center of farming by looking at the challenges that affect the farmer. The key proposals in the bill, if I could just quickly mention them, is some of them are addressing governance, looking at governance, because we've been having a lot of challenges with governance in the cooperative societies. And the key reform in governance is capping the term of office for officials who are elected at the cooperative society level to 2 terms, so that you don't have perennial, somebody staying in office forever, as is the situation now. Somebody was elected when he was a young man, he's the chairman of the cooperative society even at 80 years, starting from when he started when he was in his 30s or even 20s, still remains the chairman. You can't differentiate the society and him. Become almost one and the same thing. So that is one of the things, the reforms that came out from the farmers themselves. Can we cap? In fact, some of them were even more radical, but we said no, because those officials are farmers, they have a right to be elected, but at least let's limit the term of office to 2-year terms. The other key proposal we brought in is the capping of the deductions from the proceeds of sale of coffee, or the deduction that societies take. Because we also learned that societies sometimes even take 20% of what has been sold. 20-25%. So we looked at it, analyzed it, looked at the cost of running a society, and we said 5% is enough. 5% is enough. We realize if we don't do that, there will be no reform. Because the farmers are helpless, they can't control the officials. So you have to use the law to regulate that sector, and that's why we capped at 5%. And of course 5% means, depending on the quantities, it's a figure that can keep growing, because it's a percentage of what you produce. If the coffee revival takes off as it has taken, even that 5% will keep expanding. So we thought 5% was reasonable, looking at what was there. And then of course, we said sometimes a society may require some extra money for other things. Maybe they are putting up some structure or something. We said additional, if there is any additional money that the society will require, that has to be approved in an AGM, and then the proposal taken all the way to the cabinet secretary for approval before more money can be deducted from the farmers. Just left that window, very narrow window. By the time it reaches there, I think the next season is already there. By the time the process is under, the next season, competition is already there. Then we also capped the interest rate for loans advanced to coffee farmers to 5% maximum. We realize the biggest problem with coffee right now, if you go to all the society, they are all reeling under the weight of debt. In fact, the reason many of them even can't take their coffee to New KPCU, even when New KPCU is doing better, is because they are already held by the debtors. They are given money in advance, even before the season starts. So they are all reeling under weight of debt. Some are even being sold. Last week, I remember cooperative society assets being sold in Ruire, in Meru, because of those loans being given by banks and the marketers and the millers, always pushing money to farmers. Farmers are not sophisticated enough to know that I don't need this money. They are given the money, sometimes it doesn't reach the farmer. Most times, inakuliwa hapo kwa society hapo katikati, haifikii mkulima. Hata ajui kiombo, hata ajui. Anakuja kusikia tu factory yao inauzwa, na hiyo mwaka hata lipo chochote. Ukienda kutafuta hiyo pesa, ujui vile ilifika na ilienda na nani. So hii tumesema kwa hii sheria